The night bleeds neon, a siren's scream of color against the pitch of an indifferent sky. Neon heights. A cesspool wearing a crown, ruled by the damned and danced upon by devils in cheap suits and cheaper smiles. Me? I'm Norman Griswold. To the heights, I'm just another shadow, another ghost haunting the gutters looking for that hit, that rush, that goddamn dust. Dizzy dust, my lady, my curse. She croons like a lover, then kicks like a mule. Tonight's job with Cleaver? A waltz with the devil in the pale streetlight. The alley's a mouth and we're the rotten teeth, grinning as we spit deals in whispers. Cleaver's the kind of guy who'd sell his mama for a dime and throw in his soul for free. "Good job, Griswold," he grunts, a voice that's chewed gravel and spat nails. "Here's your slice." The bag's little, an innocent thing. But the dust within? It's a monster in a silk dress. I take it, fingers itching, soul screaming. I don't thank him. Thanks are for those who don't know better. Instead, in a low, venomous tone, I say, "Pleasure," I grunt, lying through my teeth. Cleaver's laugh is like oil on water, slippery and dark. "Remember, I got more jobs that need doing." I nod, because in this city you don't say no. You just bide your time until you can say goodbye. The streets are a freak show, and I'm the main attraction, traipsing through the madness with my pocket full of sin. The heights hums with the kind of noise that gets under your skin and lays eggs. I pass the dens, the dives, the flesh markets. The city's alive with the sound of the fucked and being fucked. My apartment's a joke, but it's mine. The lock clicks, a chorus to my sigh. Here in the dark, the dust calls to me, sings to me a lullaby for the damned. I cave like I always do. It hits, and it hits hard. First the calm. It's a lie, a sweet one, and I swallow it whole. Then the fire, the fury, the adrenaline. I ride it, a king on a throne of pure energy, gliding gently across the firmament. And the world between, it opens its eyes to me. Shadow men, my audience, my jury, my executioners, they see me, they hate me, they hunger. I see them too through the dust. And I know deep down, I'm one of them. We're all just shadows here in the ghettos of the heights. The room's a shrine to my vice, a temple where I worship at the altar of dizzy dust. The TV flickers, its glow a static-laced beacon in the dark, spewing white noise like it's the voice of God, if God's drunk and slurring. It's the soundtrack to my ritual, the hymn before the silence, before the storm. A pack of smokes and a lighter sit within arm's reach, my post-trip guardians against the inevitable crash. And the glasses, dark as my sin, wait to shield my eyes from the harsh light of truth that'll scream at me when I come down, when the world's too loud, too bright, too damn real. I prep with the precision of a surgeon, the reverence of a priest. The dizzy dust's laid out like communion, my salvation in crystalline form. I breathe deep, steel myself for the journey, the trip, the fall. The lighter flints to life, a spark in the night. I inhale, deep as the ocean, deep as the grave. The shift's immediate, the world peeling back like the pages of a forbidden tome. Reality warbles, twists, a tapestry being torn apart by invisible hands. The heights fade, a watercolor washed away by the rain of my consciousness. It's a strange, twisted beauty that unfolds before me. A euphoria blooms in my chest, a flower with thorns. The shadows, they're clearer now, sharper than the broken glass littering the gutters outside. They move with purpose, with hunger. They're the things that go bump in the night, the whispers in the dark, the chill down your spine. I'm floating, drifting on a sea of sensation that drowns the senses. The colors, they're alive, dancing to a tune only the dust can hear. It's a symphony of madness, a melody that could seduce angels and charm demons. The shadows, they're watching, waiting. Sometimes they reach out, fingers stretching across dimensions, yearning for the warmth of my world, for the spark of my soul. I've seen things that would turn a stronger man's hair white, things that cling to your thoughts like leeches. There's beauty there, in the horror, in the grotesque. It's art, the kind that only exists in the fleeting moments between heartbeats, between breaths. The dust's grip is a lover's, tight, possessive, intoxicating, and I'm lost in its embrace, a willing captive to the visions it spins, to the lies it whispers. The TV's static is a distant memory, the smoke of forgotten sentinels. I'm adrift in the world between, and it's terrible and wonderful all at once. In the haze I see them, the shadow men. They're clearer now, their edges sharp, their forms defined. They're not of this world, not of flesh and bone. They're the very essence of otherness, alien in their aspect, malevolent in their intent. Shadows within shadows, they leer from the corners of my fractured perception, from the cracks in the world's facade. Their eyes, if you can call them that, are voids, pits of unlight that drink in the neon glow of the heights and belch out darkness. They have no faces, just the suggestion of features, like a nightmare half-remembered upon waking. They shift and shudder, the way heat ripples on asphalt, distorting the air, distorting reality. I feel them, their gaze like the weight of the ocean depths pressing against my chest. They see me, truly see me, as if they can peer into the squalid corners of my soul, into the places where hope goes to die. They're drawn to me, to the dizzy dust in my veins, like moths to a flame, like vultures to the scent of decay. I'm a beacon, a lighthouse in the fog of their world, and they're all too eager to come crashing upon my shores. The euphoria of the dust is a siren's song, and I'm drowning in its melody. But the shadows, they're the undertow, pulling me beneath the surface of my own sanity. The room around me is a distant concept, a theory I once subscribed to. The TV's static is a whisper. The cigarette's a memory of a life less complicated, less haunted. The dark glasses lie forgotten, useless in the face of the unlight that spills from the eyes of the shadow men. I'm standing at the precipice, the boundary between two worlds, one foot in the heights, the other in the abyss. The dust is a key, a door, a bridge, and I'm the fool who keeps crossing back and forth, tempting fate, tempting them. Amidst the chaos, a figure more solid than the rest steps forward. He's a shadow man, but different. There's intent in his movements, purpose in his eerie stillness. He's a king among wraiths, a lord of the dark, and he's come for me. Our stare is a duel, his unlight against the feeble glow of my humanity. He reaches out and I feel the cold touch against my psyche, a caress that threatens to unravel me from the inside out. The dizzy dust was my devil, my muse, and my baptism in the fire that was Neon Heights. It always started the same, a swirl of colors, a cascade of sounds, everything heightened, like the world was on the verge of spilling its secrets just for me. They called the high the revelation, and I chased it like a holy man chases scripture. But when the celestial ride ended, when the colors dimmed and the sounds muffled, it left me raw, like my insides had been scraped out with a rusty spoon. This time the dust had shown me more than the shimmering illusions. It had peeled back the curtain to a place I couldn't comprehend, a realm where shadows had eyes, and they looked back with hunger. The rush was gone, replaced by a creeping dread that slithered through my veins. I was marked now, like Cain, but without the clarity of a brother's blood on my hands, just the stain on my soul. The afterglow was a bastard of an emotion, a mixture of elation and decay. It was in this state I found myself wandering through the neon-soaked streets of the city, the artificial lights strobing like a pulse in the vein of the night. The buzz of signs and the murmur of the crowd melded into a symphony of the damned. But there was something else, a weight to the gaze I felt upon me. It wasn't the usual paranoia that comes with the territory of being a junkie. It was something palpable, like a finger tracing the nape of my neck. I tried to shake the feeling, to lose myself in the human tide that ebbed and flowed around me. But the sensation clung to me, a leech sucking at my already weary soul. I rolled my shoulders, trying to dislodge it, as I made my way toward the stoop where I'd spent countless nights in a haze of smoke and regret. The stoop belonged to the world as much as it belonged to me and Mikey. It was our church, our confessional. Mikey was there already, perched on the edge like some kind of prophet that had fallen too far from grace to ever climb back up. He was on the mend, they said, clean for a stretch that made the rest of us squirm with a mix of admiration and contempt. You see, in Neon Heights, sobriety is a rarity, a strange affliction that makes you more of a freak than any junk coursing through your veins. "Norman," Mikey called out, a hint of the old fire in his voice, "you look like hell warmed over." I grunted, a non-committal sound, and settled beside him. "Just coming down from the dust," I admitted, not looking at him. "Feels like the end of the fucking world every time." He chuckled, a dry, rasping sound that had nothing to do with humor. "Maybe it is, Norm. Maybe every hit is just a countdown to some personal apocalypse. I sneered at the melodrama, but inside, his words resonated with the sense of doom that had latched onto me. You always were a poet, Mikey. Clean living clears the mind, he retorted. The streets are talking, Mikey. Seems there's a new game in town, new opportunities for those willing to dance with the devil. Mikey's eyes, once a vibrant blue, now dulled from the life he'd led, followed the flicker of a neon sign across the way. Opportunities or traps? These streets don't offer favors without a price, Norm. I scoffed, the cynicism a cloak I wore with pride. Since when do we worry about the price? You might have forgotten, sitting up here on your stoop of sobriety, but some of us still got to make a living in the gutter. Making a living? Mikey shook his head, the moonlight catching the edges of his worn face. You're barely surviving, brother. These jobs, they're just another form of addiction, another way to keep you on the hook. His words were a slap, a reminder of the chains I felt but refused to acknowledge. Better to be on the hook than on the slab, Mikey, I said, the bitterness in my voice as thick as the smoke that used to hang between us. He sighed, the sound carrying years of loss and regret. There's whispers, Norm. The kind that leads to more than a stint in the clink. Word is, there's a new player. Someone not afraid to spill blood to carve out their territory. I frowned, the unease I felt earlier creeping back. And what? You think I'm going to be the one to bleed? Mikey's gaze finally met mine, serious and sober as a judge. I've seen it happen, man. Guys thinking they're untouchable, invincible, until they're lying in an alley with holes where their future used to be. I stood, the need to move, to escape the truth in his words, overwhelming. I appreciate the concern, but I'm not looking to be saved. You may not be looking, he said softly, almost to himself, but maybe you need it more than you know. The conversation hung in the air as I turned away, each step taking me deeper into the labyrinth of neon heights. The feeling of being watched crawled up my spine, turning every shadow into an accuser, every innocent bystander into a potential assassin. The thought should have scared me, sent me running back to the stoop to press Mikey for more information, but it didn't. It was just another part of the life I'd chosen, another risk in a city built on them. I reached my building, the dilapidated structure a testament to the decay of the neighborhood. The stairs groaned under my weight as I climbed. My apartment was a reflection of my inner turmoil, disorderly, neglected, and permeated with the stench of stale sweat and desperation. I locked the door behind me, a laughable attempt at security in a place where locks were as easily picked as pockets. I moved to the window, the paranoia nipping at my heels like a rabid dog. Peering out, I scanned the street below, looking for any sign that I was more than just another paranoid junkie. But the night revealed nothing, just the usual procession of lost souls and neon ghosts. I stepped back from the window, my hand trembling as I reached into my pocket. The small baggie with the remnants of the dizzy dust felt heavy, as if it contained more than just the powder that promised escape. I told myself I was done, but the lie was as thin as the walls that failed to keep out the city's wails. One last time I said to the empty room, a prayer or a curse, I couldn't tell which. The ritual was familiar. A worn spoon, a lighter, the subtle dance of flame and chemical, a syringe that had seen better days. My heart was a drumbeat, the only true thing in a world of deceit. As the dust hit my veins, the room spun, the walls melting away to reveal the vast, indifferent cosmos. Stars blinked like the eyes of predators in the dark, and I felt myself falling, tumbling into the abyss. And then he was there. Cthulhu, the high priest of the great old ones, the embodiment of my darkest fears and deepest desires. His presence was overwhelming, a tidal wave of ancient power and insatiable hunger. His form was ever-changing, a maelstrom of tentacles and malice, and his eyes, those terrible knowing eyes, saw through me, into me and beyond. The high was different this time. It wasn't euphoria or insight that coursed through me, but rather an alien understanding that clawed at the edges of my humanity. My mind was no longer my own. It was a plaything, a vessel for his incomprehensible thoughts. I tried to scream, but there was no sound, no air, no world left to hear my cries. The madness was a crescendo, each beat a step closer to the edge of sanity. I was Norman Griswold, and I was no one, a speck in the gaze of a god who knew neither mercy nor malice, only eternal cosmic indifference. The room, the city, neon heights, all were illusions, fragile constructs that shattered beneath the weight of the truth Cthulhu brought with him. The shadows that had once seemed so full of mystery and danger were nothing compared to the darkness that now enveloped me. Owned me. As the madness took hold, I understood at last the price of my dance with the devil, the cost of my dalliance with the dust. There was no coming back from this, no waking up on the stoop with a hangover and a pocketful of regrets. I was lost to the world, a soul adrift in the sea of chaos that lapped at the shores of reality. The last vestiges of Norman Griswold slipped away, leaving behind only the echo of a man who had sought revelation but found ruin. The dizzy dust had promised a glimpse beyond the veil. But some veils are not meant to be lifted, some truths not meant to be known.